Working on the railroad all the live long day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Listen, Kevin, 100%, man. Change you. Don't forget, yeah, we got spring forward, says Kevin, 100%. I like the daylight to stay longer. I like spending more time outside after when it's not raining. Yeah, but Kevin, the problem is, though, is that we spring forward. No, you'd want it to spring forward then. You'd want it, right? Because that means we have more daylight during the day. Yeah, I think so. We got John from Tallahassee, Horseshoe Bay, Tejas, from Indy Banana. What the hell is that? Green Bay, Wisconsin. Squim never gets cloudy in Squim. I know I've asked it before, Dan. Is that true though or not? I can't remember. I can't remember. We got No, you're not in San Jose anymore, are you, brother? Where the hell are you? You're in. Where the hell are you? A great day in Detroit. PA in the house. Chuck B. Chucky B. I tell you, man, I was just watching my man Finn McKenty, the punk rock NBA, and he was talking about the best states, and he lives in Washington, but he's from Ohio originally, and he says Washington, and that's so true. It's just so freaking beautiful. If y'all haven't been to Washington, South Dakota, that's right, right. Man, I remember when I took Chloe there I guess 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. Man, I couldn't believe. I was like just stunned how beautiful it was. It was friggin'. I could deal with the libs. It's so beautiful. And I just, man, I didn't know they had mountains in Washington. I mean, the mountains are freaking huge, dude. It's crazy. And I was like, what the hell? I mean, I've always known. I went to Seattle one time. So my brother used to work for American West Airlines, and we got, oh, is that way? Yeah, I think we got tickets one time for free to go to Seattle. My wife is Charlotte, me, my brother, and his wife. This is before we're all married. When I lived in Phoenix. And I loved it. I said, Seattle freaking crushes. But we just went in and went out. That was it. It was like a 97, 98, something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, so when I took Chloe to Washington State, we went to go see, what was it called, Forks or whatever. Then I had a guy who lived in Wenatchee, something like that. And I wanted to go see Wenatchee because he showed me some pictures of his house, and he since has long dropped me from here because I didn't agree with the jabs. He said, "How dare you challenge the science?" I said, "Dude, okay." I mean, I was challenging the science before the JABSs that came down from 2020. If you know what I'm saying. But anyway, and he got really upset with me. That's fine. Many have come and many have gone, but. And I didn't like that Wenatchee place. I said, this sucks, dude. It's like all brown and dry and all that. It's like I didn't like that at all. But you go like to Clay Elam or something like that, like up those mountains, it's freaking gorgeous. And they got people, rednecks and pickup trucks on the side of the road because we went in October. I'm sure they're hunting. I don't know what the hunting season is there and whatnot. It's just like everyone was friendly. Every single person I talked to in Seattle was friendly. I'll never forget. We had we're going for a walk. We were staying in a hotel in what the hell is it called? Like SeaTac or something like that. And we're all right on. We got a thumbs up my investment course. Right on. Absolutely. Hey Cam! Look at Cam in the house. Woohoo! All right, so look at that. Thumbs up on my investment course. So if you haven't got it, buy it. It's in the I don't know if it's a doobie dook of this. You got 30-day free look, man. I'm telling you, buy it. Anyway, so what the hell was I saying? Moved here from San Diego for new adventures. How long have you been there, Dan? I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, anyway, so Clay Elam is like the top of the mountains. You go on the east side, it just gets all brown. I didn't like that at all. But you go over here, and that's where it's supposed to be cloudy all the time. And I'll never forget, we're sitting there, and I asked, we're at the McDonald's in Clay Elam, Chloe and me. And I asked the lady, I said, hey, I want to get milkshakes. I like McDonald's vanilla milkshakes. It's just from my childhood. I could have one every year. That was it when I was growing up. I said, I treasured that McDonald's vanilla milkshake. I said, please tell me your milkshake machine is working. She goes, and the lady at the front said, yeah, why would it be? I said, what? She goes, why would the milkshake machine be working? I said, oh, will you marry me? I said, oh, this is the best thing ever. SeaTac Airport, easy in and easy out. Is that was that the Seattle airport? Yeah, I think that's what it was. Mount Rainier's The McDonald's machine. Well, the fact that she said it wasn't like she was like, why would it not be? And she was very polite. I told the story behind McDonald's machines, and she goes, nah, that never happens here. I said, oh man, that was fantastic. Anyway, so then we went over to the ocean. It was freaking fantastic. Long story short is that I was talking to somebody. I said, man, we went to Port Angeles and they got this crab festival and stuff. I said, man, you got everything. You got crabs, you got beautiful mountains, and the drawback is the rain. I said, and someone said, I think on this YouTube channel, she said, Squim has this hole in the clouds that doesn't rain as much. I said, I don't buy that for 2 seconds. I was forced to get the anthrax shot. Yep, 100%, man. I was forced. Yep. Yeah, trying to score a Shamrock Shake is hard. It's true. It's true. One time I was picking up Maddie from someplace. She was in a math contest up in the northern, actually where my wife and my youngest are right now, in Rome, Georgia, where Trump is having a rally, by the way. I didn't know Trump was having a rally. They're up there for a tennis tournament. And we came back from Rome, Georgia. We went to 2 McDonald's to get a Shamrock Shake, and both machines were broken. As like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. It's crazy. Squim is 16 inches a year. I don't know, is that a lot or what? It's true. We drove out if rainy Seattle to a dry, sunny Squim. Really? All right, so here's the problem with Seattle area, Washington. It might only get 16 inches of accumulation, but is it gray and cloudy? You see what I'm saying? Is it gray? We got Ken from Minnesota, right on. Minnesota. Is it gray and cloudy there? So even though you only get 16 inches, if it's cloudy like 9 months of the year, my wife would like divorce me. 3 years last month. We have enough water to water the lawn. 3 years last month. I don't get what that means. We got Tom's in the house. You still down there watching minor league baseball? Not minor league, but watching baseball and the Cactus League? No. Grapefruit League. The Lavender Fields. I don't even know what that is. Fairfield, Connecticut. I hope Angie is checking in. Josh. Oh, I got some Head and Shoulders. Someone said on here to get the Head and Shoulders dry scalp stuff, and that works like a charm. Michigan in the house. Rainy day in Chesapeake. Where are you, Monica? Chesapeake, Virginia? 19D, the way to be. What the hell is 19D? I don't even know what that is. The Blue Hole, that's just not true, though, man. Newington, Connecticut, home of many badasses. Springford is a drag, but love the daylight savings. We got Dale. Hey, what's up, Dale? What's up, man? PA. All right, cool. Fields of Lavender. Oh, man. I love, really? Fields of Lavender. That sounds fantastic. Even though I did plant some for cover crop. Did I do it this year? Some crimson clover. So crimson clover you put in as a cover crop at the end of the fall season, and that will give your soil lots of energy in terms of lots of growth in there and all the stuff, microcardozial fungi, whatever they're called, and all kinds of stuff. So winter rye and crimson clover are wonderful cover crops, and crimson clover is just a gorgeous flower, man. 19 Delta, a cavalry scout. Okay, gotcha. I was just 11 Bravo, man. I was just 11 Bravo. Nothing fancy with me. Anyone fishing? Yeah, crimson clover. Crimson and clover, over and over. Crimson and clover. Joan Jett was bad. I know it was a cover, but that was badass. Oh boy, U.S. Navy here. All right, hide your boyfriends. The Navy's here. Hide your boyfriends. The Navy's here. Yeah, I don't like fishing at all. I'm too hyper for it, man. I don't get the appeal. You need to plant some Carolina Reapers and give them out at Halloween. I'm not sure what Carolina Reaper is. That sounds interesting. For let me look it up. Carolina Reaper. Let's take a look. Crimson and Clover. Carolina Reaper. Let's take a look. It's a pepper. It's a pepper. Was it like spicy or something like that? It looks like a spicy pepper. Oh yeah, dude. Freaking Carl. Carl, you suck, dude. Carl says, plant these. Oh my God. Carl is freaking evil, man. Look at this thing. Let me share this to you. Oh, that looks freaking record breaking hottest in the world. Oh my goodness, that would be funny. Oh man. Carl, you take the cake of the biggest asshole on YouTube, and I say that with all respect, man. That's me pooping. Games are done. Headed north tomorrow. Right on. Never trust a sailor who wants to show you the porthole of the ship. 100%, man. I'm in the Navy. Would you like to see my porthole? No, I would not. No, I would not. Oh my, that is classic. Oh. Oh, that is great. Never trust us. Hi, Josh. I would like to show you my porthole. Oh my goodness, that is awesome. Uh, Fishing is all about relaxing nature, having a good company. Catching the fish is a bonus. I went fishing with a friend of mine from the army. We in the National Guards after I got off active in the National Guard. This guy named Chris, and this guy he literally won a lot. He won like $150,000 in a Las Vegas poker tournament. This guy just everything that guy touches turns to gold. He's a freaking madman. Love the guy. I consider him one of my better friends of all my life. Anyway, and he loved fishing. So we went on Lake Burke. This is when we lived in Burke, Virginia. Lake Burke or something like that. Anyway, it's right down 123 going to Aquacon and or Wharton. Wharton, that's what it was. And I was just like, so we're going out there. I said, okay. And I said, so I brought a 6-pack. I said, no way I'm just sitting here like doing this the whole time. You know, I'm going to be drinking beers. So I enjoyed it. I had fun because I was getting drunk. Kind of like we went to a like, you ever heard of a mud bog? A mud bog is when you go and it's crazy. You got these big old 4x4 Broncos and stuff just going through. It's fun as hell as long as you're drinking. If you're not drinking, it's not fun. You're like, dude, this sucks. And we go to when I was in the army, we go to the racing, like car races. And it's fun as hell if you're drinking. If you're not drinking, it sucks. I was like, dude, when you're drinking, you have a blast. I mean, that's the thing. I like drinking. Drinking, I had a lot of fun drinking. That's why it's hard to quit because when you're used to drinking, having fun, when you give up drinking, you're thinking I can't have fun. You know what I'm saying? But it's because I've always kind of been a shy guy, believe it or not. But I am still at the most part. But when you're drinking, you just lose your inhibition, so you get have a good time. Anyway, you go to these mud bogs. We go fishing a couple times. That's the last time I went fishing, and then we go to race cars. When a good friend of mine was in the army, we got out and he lived in St. Augustine, Florida, and we go down there with his redneck friends, and we go a shining deer. And dude, you're like, well, all you're literally doing is you got this big spotlight on your truck, and you go out in not really the woods, I guess the swamps, and you just go out and you shine deer. Oh my God, it was so fun. Like, why is this fun? Because you just get drunk, dude. It was awesome, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Beer goggles is a tragic side of intoxication. That's why my wife married me, because I got beer goggles. She got beer goggles. There's Kim. Is this a financial channel or is it about fishing? I want to try fly fishing. That sounds boring as hell. Boring as hell. Ugh. Here's Kurt. Iowa check-in, retired. I want to go see the Iowa Cubs. I want to see the Iowa Cubs. I got it. I think they're Des Moines. I've been following the Iowa Cubs because I've always liked minor league baseball for a long time. This is a channel about sailors, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Pablo is upstairs. We shine deer here for scouting purposes, said Brian. Anyway, let's go back to what Kurt was saying. We got Casey. Oh, wait, Casey in Oklahoma. What the hell does that mean? Lots of seamen on a Navy ship. Yeah, there's lots of seamen in an infantry unit too. There, if you know what I'm saying. Not the happy type of seaman, if you know what I mean. The rainbow seaman, but you know what I'm talking about. Been retired 6 months ago at 6-1. Highly recommend it. Been running 20 miles a week, getting some home renovations done. I've been putting off for years. I bet, and you got that freaking beautiful. What is that? Black lab. I bet you've lost a lot of weight too, huh, Kurt? It's crazy, man. Fishing, golfing seem boring. I don't get golfing. My brother golfed, and he said, "Yeah, mountain bike, um, uh, dude's easy on the Navy scrubs." Anyway, when he did golfing, I was just talking to this guy about golfing, and he's like, the other day, he's like, my brother said, "Dude, it's like the most addictive thing you'll ever do." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because once you hit that perfect shot, like whatever that is, where you're driving it, and you hit it right, it is like the most, like the best rush you'll ever have, and you'll do anything to have that happen again, and you'll never happen again. You'll keep hitting, hitting, you'll never do it, but you'll keep trying. It's like chasing the dragon. It's like being a freaking heroin addict." All right, sailors, you are. That's right. Yeah, I am off topic, Jill. We're only 17 minutes in. We're only 17 minutes. A lot of people said, will say, "Whoa." They usually wait 30 minutes. I thought this was a financial planning channel. Ah. Sailors in their portholes. Scanlon Comedy Club Saturday Night Special. Yeah, Bruce. Bruce, you're in, Bruce? Hey, is this my Bruce from New York? You're in Southeast Asia? Is this Bruce? I mean, if this is the same Bruce, I'm sure it is. Bruce and Jill, I'd say Bruce was even before Jill. If it wasn't for skiing, I'd hate winter. I can see that. The show off rails 5 minutes in already. Yeah, we're getting to what I want to talk about here. Joshua's educating us about boreholes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, William Davis is drinking and cleaning up the kitchen, living the life of peace. You know what I'm saying? There's Harry. Right on. Cool. That's fun. All right, so no. Need $1,500 a month. Jill, Jill, I don't get it. All right, so Don needs $1,500 a month for 10 years and $3,500 a month for 5 years to get 67 years old. Bills are about $4,000 a month. How much would you suggest to have? Okay, so you need $1,500. You need $18,000 a year for the next 10 years, and you're going to need $42,000 a year for. Oh, so you're 52, right? I don't get it, man. So you're 52 right now, and you're going to need. I don't get why would you only need $1,800, 18,000 a year for the next 10 years, and then you're going to need 42,000. I mean, I get the thing from 62 to 67. I don't get you only need 18,000 a year. I don't get that. Yeah, it'd be cool if Steve Garvey won. I mean, I was a huge Dodgers fan growing up. I love the Dodgers. Steve Garvey, Ron Say, Yeager. Was it Steve Yeager too? Steve Yeager, Steve Garvey, Ron Say. That Von Joshua. I don't think he was part of the 77, 78 Dodgers that went to the World Series, lost the Yanks, but then they came back and beat the Yanks in '81. Hey, Bruce, man, I think Steve Sachs was later, John. I think he was later. Where are you at, Bruce? What part of Southeast Asia? Davy Lopes. Yep, that's right. Davy Lopes. Yep. Steve Garvey, and he had big forearms. He was first base. Davy Lopes was second base. Ron Stay was third base. I forgot who was shortstop. Was Yeager the catcher? Or was he the shortstop? You're in Thailand. Man, right on. By yourself, or what are you doing out there? You're scoping it out. What brings you to Thailand, man? Was sort of, yeah, Tom was sort of freaking crushed. Love that guy. Is he dead? He died, right? So Brian says sex is even better than bowling. Balls are lighter, and you don't have to wear shoes. Okay, we can try to get that out of our heads there. Seeing Brian with light balls and not wearing shoes. Okay. Any regrets about converting everything to a Roth in a single year? Well, I didn't convert everything to a Roth in a single year, Mighty Storm. I did it in 3 years. So there's two regrets I have, and one is a regret and one is not so much. But I didn't convert anything in 2020, even though I was telling everybody. I mean, I literally have videos. You can go back to 2020. I was walking in the air without a mask on. How dare I in March? And people were freaking out. I remember I got so much hate mail or whatever these things are called, hate comments about walking. And you're not taking this. It's like, dude, fresh air is the best thing since sliced bread. Get some fresh air and some sun. And this was insane. And I remember reading, I got to be careful what I say, but Fauci himself had an article in the New England Journal of Medicine that was published on February 28th or something like that, 2020, that said COVID was a severe flu. That's it. So something happened to old Fauci. I don't know what it is. I don't care to know. It's water on the bridge now. You know what I'm saying? But, and I just remember sitting there thinking, what's the best freaking solution to this stuff? It's getting exercise, getting fresh air, and getting some sun. That has always been, and it forever will be, getting outside. And I remember I was doing a video. I was telling people to convert. I remember exactly where I was. It was in March of 2020. There's a neighborhood over there. I was walking. I said, man, I was doing a video. I was walking. I said, you freaking better be converting now because the markets were down 35% or something like that. And I didn't even do it. I'm like the cobbler whose kid has no shoes. I did not even do it. What a freaking idiot. I got guys who made hundreds of thousands of dollars tax-free because of me. I should raise their fees. But I was like, yeah. So I said, I can't. And the reason I didn't do it is it's like, I don't want to get hit with the taxes. You know what I'm saying? And then ironically enough, 2021, 2022, and 2023 were just booming years for me. 2024 started off strong, is gone down a little bit the last 2 weeks, which typically happens around tax season, a little bit earlier than typical. But anytime you get a lull in your business, you're always a little bit nervous. But usually around tax season, my business usually it goes down. I'd say every year it's happened like that. Just a little bit early this year, but anyway. So I did my conversions 2021, 2022, and 2023, and I'm done now. And those are years I made back. You know what I'm saying? Now, 2021 and 2022 are in the books. I've already paid the taxes, so all my money for that is now free. Now, I still owe. I got to finish up my taxes here the next couple of weeks. I'll probably do them this week. And I think I still probably owe $10,000 to $15,000. I'm hoping that's it, and that will wipe out any kind of emergency account I have, which sucks. But then I'll be done. I won't ever have to do it again. So my regrets are that I didn't do it in 2020, and then I did do it in 2021, 2, and 3, and I had to pay pretty significant high income tax bracket rate. And that is money I don't have in cash anymore because I had to give it to Sniffy Joe and stupid Brian Kemp. And I don't regret. I just have it's like I could still have my money in IRAs and kept all that money in cash, but it's all gone. You know what I'm saying? So I literally, for the last year or so, I haven't had I had a lot of money in cash. For the first time in my whole life, I had over 6 figures in cash, and it's all gone because of taxes. I also paid a lot we got a big deck put on, in the screen and porch and whatnot. And we went all out in that. What was a smaller project became a lot bigger. I was like, okay. And the guy who did it I just trust enormously. So anyway, so I burned through all my cash, and I've been scrambling ever since, to try to build that cash up. And now this tax time, I'll probably exhaust whatever I have left in cash, which sucks. You know what I'm saying? And you never know when you're self-employed, you get a week or two of a lull. You're like, maybe this is it. Maybe I've offended people with my crazy shenanigans, and people will never hire me again. And it always makes I always can't help but be nervous. And I don't manage money, so I don't have like the annuity. What this is, annuitize your book, where you get fees from just managing people's accounts. And I literally don't tell what people to do. I'll say basically index funds. So like I was talking to a guy today. I said, dude, here's what you should do. S&P 500, VTI, you know what I'm saying, for his stocks, and money market for his bonds. And so you can mix and match however you choose. But in my opinion, VTI for stocks, money market for bonds, because money markets are paying so well. This guy's got a pension. This guy's got Social Security, and he doesn't have any debt. That guy's just crushing. And and so, I mean, I guess that's, is that making investment recommendations? No, because I said, look, I would do it like this. You can do it however you want. I'm not going to make the trade for it. I'm certainly not going to look over your shoulder. I don't care. But total stock market and then money market or the total bond index. But anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. So my regrets are the other that I had a bunch of cash for the first time ever in my life, and I don't have that. That's a regret. But I'm hoping in 2 or 3 years that will be a no longer a regret. You know what I'm saying? And regret's too strong. My only real regret is I didn't do it 2020. I see. Here's the thing with when you're doing Roth conversions. It's almost like having children. You're not going to have children if you have faith in the future. You're not going to do Roth conversions if you have faith in the future. So, I did a video yesterday or 2 days ago talking about in 2007, there was like $3.1 trillion in, I think it was 401k assets. Now, I can't remember how much it is. It's like quadruple that, something like that. I can't remember. And I'm just, so if you had, that's in 17 years. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, money has gone into it, but still, that $3.1 trillion, let's just say it's worth $9 trillion now. That's a quadrupling of if that's all Roth, of your tax-free wealth over the course of 17 years. So I'm 53. Let's just say I have $500,000. And who knows this guy? But let's just say I have $500,000. Theoretically, that'd be worth one quadrupling. Yeah, so we'll go to 2 million, right? Yeah, so quadrupling, we'll go to 2 million. 500 to a million to 2 million. Yeah, I don't expect that, but let's just say it did. That's a freaking all tax free. So I pay a little bit on the front end, which sucks, but then it's like you're planting a seed, and the seed, like anytime I plant cherry tomatoes, dude, you take this one tiny seed, you put it in there, and you get freaking you get so many cherry tomatoes, and I just go by every day. It's the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, it's just God, man. It's God, just abundance of the good Lord. Say a prayer, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, we just are so grateful for your abundance. My goodness, a tiny little seed. It gives us food that's sustainable for us, for our humans. Just on that one tiny seed, we just put in the ground, we water it, give it sunshine, and we got an abundance of food. All because of glory to you. There's no other, it's just because of your will. Oh, why can't we see the bounty that you provide us instead of always looking at the negatives? Why can't we just see the bounty that's right there in front of us? Just to smell the flowers, to see the bounty, and to be content. Lord, I just pray for contentment. And I am just as guilty as everybody of wanting more. And I'm scared to ask, Lord, to give me contentment because I don't know what that means. That's scary. But Lord, Heavenly Father, please let me have faith that thy will be done and that I will trust in your will like Job did. I just pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Just a tiny little speck of a plant, of a seed, and it becomes this magnificent thing. It's like a Roth. You convert $50,000 into a Roth today. Say 17 years from now, that $50,000 is worth $200,000, all tax free. Now, the money that you had to pay in taxes is gone, so people can make an argument. Yeah, but that money could have grown too. But all right, so all right, so let's go into what I want to talk about. Yeah, God is good, man. By the way, here's Denise. She is literally a zombie. Do you know that? She literally rose from the dead. She died, and then she came back to life. Crazy. Yeah, well, yeah. And people get all pissed off about that, and whatever. I just, I don't know. I'm not sure what your message became. That's all right. No, there's no 10% penalty on a Roth conversion. No. So Jeff Sparks, there is just FYI. 8:29 topic time. Right on, Denise. Right on. You got it. There is no 10% penalty on Roth conversions. None. Just keep that in mind. You do not pay a 10% penalty on Roth conversions. That's one of the exceptions to the rule. The older I get, the rest I want. Dude, 100% Maryland. All I want is crab. That's why I still kind of want to move back to Maryland. I love crabs, dude. That's why Squim or Port Angeles up there in Washington was so. I was like, man, crabs. I love crabs, dude. Maryland is, I like Maryland. Not gonna lie to you. I get the politics. I'm so over politics. Look, I want Trump to win. Biden. I'm never gonna give up my guns. I'm never gonna, do their stupid mandates. But at the end of the day, man, just crabs, dude. Oh, all right. So let's dive into this. So what we're gonna do here, I have crabs all the time. Yeah, I'm sure it's because the ladies you're with, Brad. If you know what I'm saying. The ladies you're with, yeah, the backdoor Roth, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, but it's beautiful state. Look, libs, whatever, man. Maryland is just all right. Just real quick, there's libs everywhere you go. Now, the libs, generally speaking, are consolidated in certain areas. PG County, Montgomery County, you know what I'm saying, Baltimore City. You get out of those places, they're just regular people, man. I mean, even in Washington State, when I was going there, I was talking to everybody. Everybody's nice. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure you get out of Seattle. I'm sure you get out of Northern Virginia. I mean, I know for a fact Northern Virginia, Maine, you get out of Portland, Maine. People are just people, man. Everyone wants to raise their family. Libs are just stupid because on Facebook, they're just, it's just dumb. But generally speaking, you talk to a lib, they're not, I don't know. I'm kind of over all that stuff. I mean, I'm right wing. Like, I'm going to interview this guy on Monday who is in one of my favorite bands of all time. This guy named Jeff Altieri from a hardcore band called Enrage. He goes, I just want to make sure there's no politics. That's not it. I'm right. I told him I'm right wing. I basically keep that to myself in my interviews, but I'm not afraid to show people I'm right wing. I'm anti-abortion. I'm not big on the rainbow agenda. You know what I'm saying? And I certainly don't believe in the good Lord, but I think there should be some a little bit more freedom, if that makes sense, as opposed to regulation. But at the end of the day, it's just people just trying to get by. Yeah, there lives in Oklahoma, the one state where every county voted for the Trumpster. Don't bring my AR-15 to Maryland, bro. I won't bring it to Maryland because we'll get lost in the river that I took my boat on, if that makes sense. And thanks. I just got an email from look. So that's the interview with Pam I did, the trans lady, and I don't know. I don't want to say I don't care. I don't want it pushed on children. If people who are adults want to do whatever the hell they want to do, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. And but I still think, we're going to what I'm going to talk about. All right, so hold on a second. All right, so we're going to go to this website, and you should go there too, and you should get my man's. Opens up here. Just a second. I'm having a hard time opening up. Why is it not opening? Why is it not coming? So you're gonna get. Dude, what's wrong with my man's website? Why is it not showing up? Hold on a second. 55e.com. Let's try it again. All right. Well, I'm not sure why that's not coming up right now. But anyway, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this bucket thing here, and this is what I'm working on next for my next book. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I haven't done it yet. And so this is the spreadsheets you can get from 55e.co. 55e.co. My man Daniel Coolabird, and for some reason the website isn't popping up right now. I thought I put it in. Maybe I did. 55e.co. I mean, I looked at it earlier today, so I don't know why it's not. There it is. All right, sweet. That's weird. And what's going to, all right, hold on a second. There we go. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you get 55e.co, and you can get your own version of this spreadsheet that I'm going to share with you here. From my man, Dan Coolberg. And this right here is what we're looking at, the bucket strategy spreadsheet. Price is $25, all right? And you can send payment through PayPal, and he makes automatic updates every year. So this is what we're going to be using. I don't get paid from Dan. He doesn't give me any kind of thing. I like Dan. Dan has been a big asset to my videos for sure. So if I can help spread the good cheer for old Dan, it's 55e.co, and it's $25, and then you own the thing, and you'll update it for free. I can't speak to that. I imagine he updates it for free. All right, so wait, that's what we're using here. So we're going to use this spreadsheet that he's created, and there's just tons of stuff that I like. And what I want to do here All right, so let me just make sure y'all can see this. Yeah, all right, sweet. So what I wanted to do, so first and foremost, is we're going to, sweet, it did work. Nice. All right, so what we're doing here is we're going to come down here. We're going to do the 1 month treasury bills. We're going to put 4 years of cash in. We're going to do, hold on, let me just get this figured out here real quick. We're going to do, so I want that, hold on just a second. I want that S&P 500 here. And what I'm doing, you all can do this too with his spreadsheet, which is just fantastic. All right, there we go. So we're going to put $80,000 and 20,000. All right, so let me explain what's going on here. So we have $100,000 invested. We're going to take 5% a year out. We're going to adjust it for inflation. We're using the bucket strategy. All right. So again, the bucket strategy is if the market, yes, the stock market is up, we pull the money from the stock market. If the stock market is down, we pull the money from the bonds. So we got 40 years of cash. Treasury bills are literally the safest investment there is. There's no CDs are not safer than treasury bonds, but treasury bills in particular. CDs are not safer. They're just not. There's no safer investment than 1 month T-bills. That's just all there is to it. There isn't any. Annuities are not safer. Bank CDs are not safer. Money markets are not safer. This is the safest investment there is. There's just all there is to it. So we're going to take $5,000 a year out. That's 5%. Right? We're going to adjust it for inflation, which I don't think we should, but we're going to do that just to show you. And we're going to see how the strategy played out. And what we're going to see here is you'll see we ran out of money in year 19. All right, so I'm going to show you what happens here. So here's our 80,000 in the S&P 500. All right, 80,000 or 20,000 in the bonds, and we're adjusting this with inflation starting in 1966 because that's from 1966 and 1982 is the years that you had to make it work. 2000 was not nearly as bad as 1966 and 1982. If you can survive 1966 and 1982, you're probably in a pretty good place. The Great Depression wasn't as bad. Why? Because the prices were falling. A Great Depression, a recession, a depression is a recession on steroids. So if you can survive 1966 and 1982, you're probably looking pretty good. That's just fact. And that's the basis of the 4% rule, by the way. That was the maximum you could have taken out to include the 1966 and 1982 and still had money left over. Now, I don't think the 1966 and 1982 conundrum is ever going to happen again, but that's what we use as our worst case scenario. All right, so anyway, I want to show you what's happening here. Let me make sure we got that. Looks good. Inflation adjustment bucket 1. Oh wait, I gotta change it. I gotta change it around. Do I gotta change it there? Yeah, bucket 1. Oh yeah, I do have to put this. I gotta change it back. Hold on a second. We can make this S&P. There we go. All right. There we go. There it is. All right, sweet. So what's happening here is we got $80,000 in stocks, $20,000 in cash. The T-bills are cash. Stock market was up 4.8% in 1966. All right. Now we needed $5,000 a year adjusted for inflation. So we're going to take $5,143 out. All right. So the bond market was down in 1966. So we're not touching the bond market. We're touching the stocks. All right. So just, so we're pulling 80,000 because the market stocks were up. We're pulling our withdrawal of 5% adjusted for inflation. And we got 4.8% rate of return on our $80,000. We're pulling 51 right there, 51.43. So we're left with $78,000. All right. The bonds, on the other hand, because we're down 10.4%, we're left with 17. No, this is stock. This is bonds. Right. I can change this right. I keep screwing up. Hold on just a second. I got to make this different. $20,000. There we go. There we go. 80,000. There we go. All right. So that's what that's what I'm looking for. All right. So here we have 20,000 in cash. The cash earned 4.8% a year. Our $5,000 initial withdrawal rate is inflated at whatever the inflation rate was, 2.9%. So we had to take 51.43 out. All right. That's what we had to take out. Now we're going to take it from one of two places. We're going to take it from stocks or we're going to take it from bonds. Well, because stocks were down for the year, we're going to take it from bonds. All right, so $20,000 adjust with a 4.8% rate of return, subtract our 51.43, we were left with 15,817. Stocks, on the other hand, we didn't take anything out because it was in the red. And so now the stock's being down 10.4%. we're down to $71,712. All right. Hope that makes sense. So again, just reiterate. If the stocks are down, we're pulling it from bonds. We got 4 years cash. Stocks are down, we're pulling it from bonds. All right. So watch what happens next year. Bonds are up next year, 4.2%. So our $15,000 up 4.2 grew to 16,481. Now notice we didn't take anything from bonds or cash because the stocks are up 24%. So even though the year before we were down to 71,712 and we didn't take anything out, 71,712, we had a 24.5% rate of return, which meant because we're in the black, we took our inflation adjustment amount of 5302 from stocks. And now we're left with 83,944, which is more than we started with, even though we had a negative year in 1966. Bonds came back, not strong, but they came back. We went from 15,817 to 16,000. All right, so we are basically right back where we were. We're basically at $100,000. I think, yeah, right there, $100,425. Year 3, bonds are up 5.2, stocks are up 11%. So we know we're going to take the money from stocks. When the stocks are up, we pull the money from stocks. It's just that simple. So now at the end of the year, and again, what was initially 5,000 a year has grown to 5524 because of inflation. Again, we're adjusting for inflation. So now bonds are at 17,000, stocks are at 87,000 bucks. All right, and now we got $105,000. Not too shabby. Now we're going to start hitting where the high inflation starts really kicking in. And in 1990-69, stocks are down 8.6%. Bonds are up, so we're taking our money from bonds, right? Oh, here's where it gets bad, though, right? And then, so now we're back down to 80,000, down to 76,000. But here's 1973 and 1974, all right? We didn't touch any stocks here at all. We didn't touch any stocks, so we pulled our money out of bonds, all right? So 1973, well, the bond market was at $14,000, and then we pulled $7,000 because of high inflation. So we're left with $8,500. 1974, stocks got hammered even more, so we had to pull our money out of bonds there too. So we're left with about $1,400 in bonds, and now we're left with $56,000 in stocks. So now we're almost 10 years in. We're about 8 years in right now, 8-9 years, and we're left with $57,000. Like, oh man, we're getting hammered. 57,000 bucks. 1975 comes in, we're up 38%. But because of high inflation at 9.1, now we need to pull $8,500 from our portfolio. 8,500 bucks on a portfolio that when all said and done, that is worth 57,000 bucks. That's not going to get the job done. So you can see right here, we don't have any money left in bonds. We're pulling all from stocks. But check this out. It went until 1986 before we ran out of money. 1986, that's 21 years before we ran out of money. That's with the worst scenario possible, adjusted for inflation. Now, what if we don't adjust it for inflation? What if we just do a simple $5,000 a year? All right, make sure it worked. There we go. Did we ever run out of money? Never ran out of money. If we just did $5,000 a year, we never ran out of money. Now we're not adjusting it for inflation, so that's probably not reasonable. I mean, at some point you want to adjust for inflation. At some point, but again, I want to see the evidence of retirees adjusting for inflation. They don't. So that's pretty cool. So now let's say instead of doing 5,000, let's do 7,000. 7,000. Never ran out of money. So 7,000 we're pulling out, and we didn't adjust it for inflation. Yeah, that's right. We want to do 7,000 fixed. So we're doing huge withdrawals on the front end. A 7% withdrawal on the front end, because the front end is when we're freaking partying like it's 1999. So we're not touching it for inflation, and we never ran out of money. Interesting. Again, I want to see any evidence at all that retiree spending increases with inflation. It's just not there. So what we're doing here is we're basically saying we're going to spend more money on the front end. So if we did a 4% rule, let's do 4%. And again, you guys have access to all this stuff. Just buy that thing from my man. If we did 4%, we ran out of money in 2006. So 4% rule, wasn't it banging? It worked in 1980. Let's see, in 19 ran out of money in 2006. So that's more than 30 years. So the 4% rule worked, adjusted for inflation. But look, we're pulling 4,000 out in the front end of a retirement. 4,000. By the time we're hitting 7,000, it's 1977. 11 years have gone by before we're hitting 7,000 when I was doing this without inflation adjustment. I was doing a fixed amount. By the time look at this. By the time we're hitting $7,000, I mean, 10 years have gone by. That's 10 years in the front end of our retirement. We're freaking partying like it's 1999. Crazy. So we're sitting there freaking, no screen share. Oh, I'm not sharing the screen? Oh, man, for real? Ah! Damn. All right. We're going to ban old Daryl. Get him out. I don't know who's got the thing, because I can't take people asking stupid questions. All right, sorry I didn't share the screen, man. If someone's got the thing, ban old Daryl. I just can't take it. All right, so here we go. Sorry about that, guys. You probably saw me picking my nose, pick my butt. All right. There we go. Oh, look at everyone's making fun of old Josh. Look at everybody's making fun. All right, so let me start with portholes and all. My goodness, everybody's making fun of old Josh. Should have noticed when I see with my eyes, not my ears. That's pretty funny, Dan. Pretty funny. Look at James. Why have I tortured us? Is there a chart I'm missing? He locked in. Oh boy. Denise says, share this screen. All right, let's start over. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. All right, so we're gonna start back. All right, so we're gonna everybody can see this, right? Yes, you can. All right, so this is from my man Daniel Coolburst, 55e.co. 55e. He got the bottle scope. I did. I just shouted like 2 hours ago because I got out of the gym. I was focused, Marie, just like you riding your bikes through Arizona. I was focused. I got a Pablo stash. Dude. If anyone got a wrench, if someone says, what is this? Obviously, if they're among friends here, I don't know who that guy was. But if someone's goofing, I can take it. But if someone comes here that says, what does firearms have to do with retirement advice? I don't want that guy here. I don't want him here. They bore me, man. They bore me. This freaking live stream is whatever the hell I feel like talking about. It's fun for me. It's cathartic, lethargic, no, whatever that word is. That's what it feels like to me. And so we have to add some humor because we got to make fun of the libs. This is the only place we can get a lightweight with making fun of the libs. You can't do it at work. You can't do it at church. You can do it here. And it's fun because why are you talking about AR-15s? They're scary, Josh. It's scary. I know it's fun, John. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it all fun. Because now there are some libs on here, and they can laugh. Some libs laugh, but they say, "What does this have to do with retirement advice?" Like, we're still doing this. It's so boring. And I say, because I have someone on says we should ban AR. We should ban what the hell? Assault rifles. I say, define an assault rifle. Define an assault rifle. It's something that makes me scared. I said, well, spiders make me scared, so we should ban spiders. All right, let's keep going. They can never. All right, so what we're doing here. So we're going to take, we got $100,000 to play with. We're going to we're spending $5,000 a year, right? And we're going to adjust it for inflation. Inflation adjustment. All right. And I use a 5% rule, not the 4% rule. All right, and I'll get to that why in just a second. We're going to put 4 years in cash, treasury bills. Make sure everybody can see this. Yes, you can. AR-15s are black and scary with tiny bullets. I know, they're very scary. They scare me. And they might even have a folding bump stock. Oh my goodness, I got a pistol grip. Oh my. So stupid. I have no patience for anti-gunners because their arguments are so weak, and just so dumb. And I don't like dumb people. And if you don't like firearms, I'm not the channel for you, man. I'm just not. Go out there and put your sign on your house that say gun-free zone. I invite you to do that. Put on your car gun-free zone and drive through South Fulton County. All right. Anyway, so we got 4 years of cash, and we got the rest in stocks. That's what we're doing here. 4 years of cash being T-bills. Again, T-bills are the safest investment you can have. There's nothing safer than treasury bills. Just want people to know that. All right, so what's happening here is we're saying, okay, we got our bucket strategy, 4 years cash and S&P 500. And what we're going to see here is we're starting in 1966 because that's when the calamity really started. From 1966 to 1982 is when the S hit the fan. And you can see the first couple of years of inflation, 2.9, 3.1, 4.2, weren't horrific, but they're going to get bad. 5.7, 4.2, and 1973 and 1970, this is when it really starts hitting hard because of OPEC and all that stuff. By the way, Nixon got off the gold standard, what, 1970? Isn't it ironic that inflation went from 5.7 down to 3.2, even though he closed the gold window? So the deleveraging of the dollar, was that inflationary? Well, not in terms of CPI. We're using CPI. It just wasn't. So what was the inflation cause? It certainly wasn't getting off the gold standard. It wasn't. Or the gold window there with stupid Nixon. It was the oil embargo. Oil embargo right there. And then we ran out of natural gas. Do you all remember that? You might not remember that. Everyone remembers gasoline, but don't forget, we were running out of natural gas. That's why we actually went back to coal. A lot of people don't know this. We actually got rid. We were losing our natural gas resources, so we said we had to heat the house. So we're going to go back to coal. We're hoping for clean coal, but coal had a resurgence in the late 70s and early 80s because natural gas looked like it was at peak natural gas. Ironically, it wasn't. Far, far from it. Isn't that interesting? So coal had a resurgence. No, it didn't. Yes, it did. So anyway, so how are these things intertwined with getting off the gold standard and having inflation decline from there to there? Weird, huh? And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, OPEC and all that stuff. The government wasn't spending here. We had Medicare coming out. We had the Vietnam War. The government wasn't spending. Big deficits, big spending, debts, deficits added to the debts. Kind of weird. And yet inflation was moderate at that point. It's just weird how inflation just really took off once we had an energy crisis. Kind of strange. Almost like what happened to 2020. One, I should say. Oh, and then Paul Volcker. He raised interest rates so high that he beat inflation now. The argument's so freaking stupid. I hate that argument because it's not true. It's just not. All right, beside the point. So we got 4 years of cash, the rest in stocks. If the stock market is down, we're taking our money that we need, our $5,000 a year, adjusted for inflation of CPI. If the market is down that year, and here it is, we're pulling it from cash. If the market is up in a year, we're pulling it from the market, if that makes sense. So year one, we need $5,143. All right, we got $20,000 sitting in cash, $80,000 sitting in stocks. The $20,000 sitting in cash grew at 4.8%. The $80,000 sitting in stocks went down by 10%. So our stocks went down. So we take our money that we need from cash. All right. And so now we're left with $15,817 in cash because we had $20,000 that earned 4.8%. We took $51.43. We're left with basically $16,000. Stocks, on the other hand, just fell to $71,712. So we're left with 13% below what we started with. We had $100,000. We pulled $5,000 out. We're down to $87,000. Year two, with inflation, we need $5,300. Again, 5% adjusted each year with inflation. Bonds are up 4.2%. So our $15,000 right here, 817, grew at 4.2. So now it's at 16,481. But here, on the other hand, stocks are 71,000, grew at 24.5%. So because stocks are up, we're pulling our 5,302 out of stocks. So now we're left with $84,000 plus our bonds, which meant we're right back to where we were 2 years previously. We're back over $100,000. Let's see what kind of peanut gallery comments. All right, let's see. All right, good. No one's. All right, good. Looks like everybody's. Good. Everybody's getting it. Everybody's getting it. All right. So now in 1968, we see the same thing happen. Bonds are up, stocks are up. So we're taking our money out of stocks. All right. So here, our stocks were up, and now we're at 87,679 in stocks. We started with 80,000 bucks, so we're well above where we started with, and our bonds are up too. So we're at 105,017. Now's when the time's really going to start getting dicey. 1969, stocks were down, bonds are up pretty good, though. But because stocks are down, we're pulling our money from bonds. All right. So bonds are now left at 12. Now remember, we started with 5,000 a year, but with inflation every year, now we're taking 5826. Stocks, on the other hand, were down, so we got pulled from bonds. But even there, we're still at 92,000 bucks, even though we've had 2 of 4 years we're down for stocks. So we've taken a total of more than about $24,000 out or something like that, and we're still at 92,000. The following year, bonds again had a good year, but this time stocks are up too. Stocks are up 3.6%. So even though they weren't up much, they're in the positive, they're in the black. So we're still going to pull from stocks. As long as the stock market is up, we're pulling from stocks. All right. So now we're left with 76,000 of stocks. 1971, the stocks are up. We need 6,400 bucks to pull to make our living expense. That's the 5% rule. So now we're back up to 95,000 bucks. We're 6 years in, and we've only withdrawn our portfolio down 5,000 bucks. Pretty good. 1972 has a crushing year. Now stocks are back up to 90,000 bucks. We're back up above par. Now 1973 kicks in. Our 5,000 that we needed originally is now 7,000 bucks. 7,000 bucks. Someone just texted me to share my screen. All right, I should have been looking at my text. I was in the zone, like someone said. So we've increased our expenditures by 5,000 to 7,000 bucks. Bonds had a great year, but stocks got crushed. So we're taking our 7,000 from bonds. We're still left with 8,500 bucks in bonds, which is going to be helpful because what happened next year? Stocks got crushed the next year. So now we need $7,800, which basically exhausts our bonds. Not quite, but pretty doggone close. So now we got 56,000 left in stocks, but only 1,400 left in bonds, and we're sitting at bonds and cash. I'm saying intermingled. We're sitting on $57,000. Stocks did great the next 2 years, and we're back up to 77,000. And you factor in bonds, but then stocks fell in 1978 or 77, and we don't have enough in bonds, so we're gonna have to pull some money from stocks. But then stocks did well enough until we're exhausted our portfolio in 1986. All right, so that's 21 years. I think it even says ran out of money in 1987 and year 22. 22 years our money lasted with a 5% distribution amount adjusted for inflation. Dude, that ain't so bad, my friends. That ain't so bad. Now, if we want to use a 4% rule, we just go here, 4,000, and we do the same thing. And we're going to put this at 16,000. All right. And watch, our money ran out in 1997 at year 32. So 1997, the 4% rule, it lasted for 30 years. All right, that's what Dan Colbert's, and there's tons of stuff. I'm not even showing you all the stuff that's happening in this thing. It's just, there's so many different tables. It's freaking $25 is the easiest money you've ever spent. So that's a 4%. 5% rule lasted 22 years. 4% rule adjusted for inflation lasted your whole retirement, essentially. But I don't believe in any of those things because I don't believe that your spending is going to go up with inflation. So what I did, what you guys are going to see, I said, what if we just did 7? So instead of doing 4%, by the time we hit $7,000, we're in 1976. We're 11 years into our retirement. So we retire at 60. Now we're at 71. So what we've been doing there is we've been underspending just to make sure we had money left over by the time we're 90 years old. I said, no, I don't like that. What if we did 7,000 a year and just put it fixed? We're not going to do any adjustments. So basically, we're giving ourselves a higher threshold on the front end, and we know inflation is going to catch up with us on the back end. So we know, let me just stop sharing for a second. We're going to give us $7,000 a year. Before 4% adjusted for inflation, we're fine, but it took 10 years, 11 years for that 4% bypass the 7,000 we're taking out. I'm like, well, but I want to have fun the first years. I don't want to wait till I'm 80 to have fun. So what I'm saying is ultimately inflation is going to catch up with us at some point. And in this case, the worst inflation the United States have ever had, inflation caught up with us by the time we're by 11 years in. So I'm saying 7,000 a year fixed. Because remember, I got to share my screen again. I almost forgot. So here I'm saying 7,000 a year fixed. I'm taking 7,000 each and every year, same bucket, everything's the same. Right here is when inflation at $7,000, if we did the 4% rule, is where we've had taken more than 7,000 out. So essentially, we're taking more out on the front end in order to take less, adjusted for inflation, on the back end. Well, that's what most retirees do. Their spending goes down. And when did this money run out of money? Never ran out of money. Never ran out of money, ever. Now, your bonds ran out of money, but your bonds did exactly what they're supposed to do: keep you from the massive sequence of return risk. So I'm like, well, if 7,000 did well, what about 8,000? Ran out of money in year 19. So now we're taking 8%, 8,000 a year out, and by year 19, we did run out of money right here. So that might be a little bit too aggressive. Again, that's a fixed amount. That's double what the 4% rule is doing. Double, because 4% rule is 4,000. We're taking 8,000 a year, not adjusted for inflation. So I said, well, if we did 7,500. So remember, 7,000 never ran out of money. 8,000 ran out in 19 years, so too quick. 7,500 ran out in year 24. Interesting. Year 24. How many people are going to survive to year 24? Not that many, but just for an example, that's what it did. So what I asked Dan to do, I said, what if we did a different strategy? What if we did the reverse RMDs? And it's been a while since I've done this, so I just got to make sure I got it right. And again, this is the worst market we've ever had. 66 to 82, high inflation, low returns. This is why I hate the 4%, and I do not hate the 4% rule like animosity toward it, but I hate people get suckered into believing it's like God's chosen word, because what that is the worst scenario that ever happened. If you go into that, you could take 4% a year out and fine. But the vast majority of time, you could take out well above that. I think the average is like 5.5 to 6, something like that. And I just hate that people are like, well, oh my goodness, if I take more than 4% out, I could run out of money by the time I'm 92 years old. I'm like, hell's bells, dude. I can't believe you're going to work another couple of years, some crappy old job, because there's fear that you're going to run out of money when you're 92, when the evidence of the 4% rule is based on two things that aren't going to be applicable to you, most likely. The worst markets we've ever had with factoring inflation for 1966 and 1982, plus your spending increases with inflation. There's just no evidence of that. That's crazy. So I said, what if we did a reverse RMD? So remember, what a reverse RMD is my way to say, to basically force yourself to spend less money as you age. So we're starting up here. Our spending is going down as we age. What the 4% rule says, let's start down here and have the spending go up as we age. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because by the time you're up here, you're like, dude, I'm old crusty old job. I'm not doing crap. I can barely wipe my butt. So the reverse RMD method says, no, let's freaking party like it's 1999 for the next 10 years while we have the ability to do so. And then when we're older, ask your parents. Say, mom, dad, grandma, granddad, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Did you end up spending more money as you aged in retirement or less? I can almost guarantee you the vast majority of your parents say, yeah, as we got older, there was Jim Bob, we just didn't do much. I talk to people all the time. I say, what did your parents, give me experience of your parents. Yeah, they don't spend very much. They don't even spend their Social Security checks, I hear a lot. Never mind the RMDs. All right, so let's do the 12. I haven't done this, so it might not work as well as I thought. Let's see here. So here we're doing the 12%. So we're going to take, all right, sweet. 1 second. We're reducing it by 10. Start balance. For some reason, only got 10,000. Why is it? From table. Careful when dragging formulas. All right, so we got 12% start amount decreasing by 20 basis points. Income needs. I'm not quite sure Is that 12%? Well, I think it's 12, might be 12% of this right here. So let me see here. So, my calculator. I gotta go get my calculator. Hold on. I think what's happening here is he's doing it. Ow. Ooh. Actually, while I'm getting my calculator, I'm gonna get something to drink too. I'm gonna get my my spendthrift. There's my calculator. All right. Yeah, these spendthrifts, freaking fantastic. I love them. I don't drink beer because I'm not 57 flavors, if you know what I'm saying. Only 57 flavors people drink beer. If you're sober like me, you're a straight man. You're a manly man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are. Oh, yeah. Top of the morning to you, First Sergeant. Hey, First Sergeant, good morning. I'm that black guy in the Army commercials. I say that joke every time. It's still funny to me. We do most before 7 a.m. before most people do all day. All right. Energy prices drive inflation. Look at Vice Grip. And Vice Grip was, I think this was the guy who was in the Navy too. So, he might have a weird choice of lovers, if you know what I'm saying, but he's got a good brain there for Navy. Vice Grip, I'm only goofing because every single person in my family was Navy other than me. My uncle and my granddad were both captains. My uncle John was a nuclear submarine officer. My sister was an 03. Forgot the freaking ship she commanded for a little bit. And my brother was in the Marine Corps. And then my uncle, my great uncle, Richard Deichmann, actually took out the Japanese battleship Chickamauga, whatever it's called. The Japanese battleship Chickamauga. He actually took it out. You could look him up. Richard Deichmann. And my grandpa was a test pilot. He flew with, I think it was John Glenn. Yeah, he flew with John Glenn. Very, very risky. And then my other uncle was also a pilot too. So Grandpa had two brothers or three brothers. Three brothers. I can't remember. Anyway, so the Navy is important. I always go for the Navy over Army in the Army-Navy game. All right, so let's keep rolling here. That's what I want to do. I want to go back to share the screen. And remember, you guys can get all this stuff at 55e.co. And my man Dan Coolbert just kicks ass, and he's not making a bank off this, but he's raising kids. He's not a wealthy guy, so any money you can slide to him by buying his spreadsheets would be well appreciated. That tastes good. Look at my teeth, pearly yellows. All right, let's keep going back. All right, so I think what Dan's doing here, and again, it's been a while since I looked at this, the reverse RMD. So I'm starting with 12% amount, 12% out. So what we're doing here is we're going to say we got 16,000 here. Oops, 16,000 times 1.048 equals 16,768 minus 71,000 here, plus 71,000 here, plus 71,712. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what he's doing, times 12%. Yep, exactly. All right, sweet. So what's happening here, we're doing 12%, but it's the 12% of the ending value of these two guys right here, the ending value of this guy plus the 4.8% interest rate plus this guy minus the 10.4% rate of return. So our ending value is what we're taking the 12% off. I hope that makes sense. And that 12% is $10,000. All right, so in this case, we're taking $10,000. It's our reverse RMD. And we're taking all from the bonds because the stocks are down. So here, the bonds are we only have $6,000 left. Well, thankfully, stocks next year, because we're dropping we're doing it by, so it goes from 12% to 11.8 to 11.6 to 11.4 and so on and so on. And we never ran out of money. Never ran out of money. So I think someone's asked about rebalancing. We're not rebalancing here at all. We're not. I mean, you could. I think we can even do that here. Yeah, so you could rebalance. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, well, there you go. If you rebalance, it's even better. So I mean, this you can rebalance, withdraw at beginning. So if we withdraw at the beginning, we're taking because it would change much. I guess we got anyway. So we can rebalance here, and I mean, but I wasn't rebalancing because I mean, I actually am not the biggest fan of rebalancing, but I guess I could see the benefit of it. It's one of those things I think people get really caught up. Should I rebalance every year? No, man. Just I mean, I don't know. Like my man Fritz Gilbert, who I love. Some guys love this stuff, man. They're like chemistry professors, all these freaking things. I'm like, man, that sounds like hell on earth to me. So I say just rebalance every couple of years. But in this case, we are rebalancing. We're not rebalancing, but if we did want to rebalance, it'd even be a bit better. But anyway, so what's happening here? So now during 1966 to 1982, we're taking a significant amount of money on the front end, but we're dropping it. And this is probably not sustainable. In 1980, we're only taking $4,800 out. So we're dropping it pretty significantly to a minimum of 5%. So we're basically saying we're going to start with 12, we're going to drop it by 20 basis points a year, and the minimum that we're going to take is 5%. All right. So, I mean, as you can see, we didn't run out of money, but in 1974, we're only spending $3,300. That's probably not as that sounds better than I think what it would be really on the ground, if that makes sense. But it just gives you something to think about. You can start saying, if I start taking more on the front end, knowing that I'm going to take less on the back end, when for a fact I know that I'm going to take less on the back end anyway, because people spend less on the back end anyhow, if that makes sense. It's a pretty good strategy. 12% might be a little bit too high. So I want to do 10%. And this is what I'm just kind of thinking about, guys. I said, okay, so now we're doing 10%. I'm only taking 80. So this is a little bit more reasonable. So check this out. We're taking 88, 95, 95. So we're spending hard in the first 5 years. And again, even here, we're still spending $5,200. And that's with the worst markets we've ever had. Now we're back up to 1986. We're spending $6,000, $8,000. Now, is that legit? I think so. Is that going to be something that you could manage? I think so, 100%. That's during the worst markets ever. Now, what if we change it to, let's say 19, we can go back to 1927. And we'll go back to 1927 and 1954. All right. And let's see if it took. Yeah, so here, 1927, inflation. What? Inflation was down. Look at that. Inflation was down. Stocks were up here. Let's actually do 1929. That's when it started the Great Depression. But remember, if we're doing it with inflation adjustment, and we're not on the reverse RMD thing, but remember, during the Great Depression, there was deflation. Look at it, 9.9% deflation in 1932. 9% deflation in 1931. When you factor in the S&P 500 is down 44%. When you factor in inflation, 2008 was the worst market we've ever had. Am I sharing? Make sure I'm sharing. Yeah, okay, sweet. And look at this. You got killed. 9%, 22, it's 48. But look, deflation 9.95%. So let's go back to the 5% rule. And we'll adjust it with inflation. And we're going to do 5%. Now, I don't expect this to ever happen again. But here, instead of spending $5,000 a year at the beginning, we're spending $3,800. Look at that, because of deflation. And we ran out of money in year 21 if we're using a 5% rule adjusted for inflation. Let's do rebalancing, see what that does. See, rebalancing, we actually ran out of money in year 18. So rebalancing isn't always your friend. It's just not. But anyway, so here's a perfect example of the bucket strategy. Because the markets are getting killed these 4 years, we do not want to take money out of a market that's declining. Now our $72,000 is only worth $28,000 because we just got killed. I mean, look at that. We're down 9, 11, 10, 22, 44, 6. And even though we got back up to 50, this is the sequence of return risk that is right there. That's the likelihood of that happening to you, though, is not very high. It's just not. Look at that. That's a sequence of return risk that happened in the Great Depression. No one, you can't get around that. Even with deflation, you still ran out of money. But it still took till year 21 by 1949. to run out of money. And that's with 80% stocks, 20% bonds. Well, not, oh, actually, I should put that as $20,000. See, I'm screwing this up because it's like, look at that. Even during the Great Depression, if you took 5% a year out, adjusted for inflation, you ran out of money in year 25 in 1953. That doesn't get your motor running. I don't know what does. All right, so let's do something else here. Let me see if I can't do this. I'm good. So there's lots of fun stuff to do. And this is what I'm working on my next book. I just find this stuff fascinating. And look, I don't expect any of this stuff to happen again. But who knows, man? Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. But if we can survive the Great Depression, and then we can also survive, because we're never going to get another depression like that again, because the Feds, they got too much resources to just print. I mean, one of the things the Fed thought they learned from was the contraction of the money supply. They said we should not, because one of the causes of the depression was the contraction of the monetary supply. They were literally pulling money out of the currency. And as such, that was causing the depression. There was not enough dollars to buy the goods. And they'll never do that again. Bernanke knew that. Larry Summers knew that. All the right wingers and left wingers, economists all agree. They should never have contracted the money supply, which is what Nixon said in 1971 or 70 when he said, we're all Keynesians now. He said, we learned we'll never contract the money supply. We'll always expand the money supply. So contraction of the money supply leads to deflation. Yes, I completely agree with that, which is odd because we've contracted the money supply last year pretty significantly, more than we've ever done since the Great Depression, and yet there's no deflation. It's kind of interesting, actually. This is where the economists, they're just like stock guys. They don't know. We contracted the money supply. I think it's like 6% in 2023. We've never done that since the Great Depression, and yet there's no deflation at all. There isn't any. It's very interesting. Well, but because the spending is what's causing the spending, the money supply. I mean, literally, the money supply contracted, which meant the spending from that money supply was being reduced. The actual spending wasn't reduced, but the money supply was being reduced. Money supply. And then if you look at the Great Depression, was the spending going up or going down? It was going up. But because of the contraction of the money supply, that meant there wasn't enough dollars running around out there. Too much dollars chasing too few goods, which is what Milton Friedman said. And again, I don't agree with that all the time, but I certainly agree when it came to the Great Depression. There was too few dollars chasing too many goods, right? Which is depression or deflationary. But anyway, so they're never going to do that. The Fed, they'll never contract the money supply and put us in a massive deflation like that. It just will never happen. Because we've learned, we learn until we don't learn anymore. And I mean, we learn until things change. So I don't expect the Great Depression. So I'm more worried about the 1966 and 1982 phenomenon. But again, that wasn't the expansion of the money supply so much. It just, no one will be convinced on this. I don't care. I've done videos on this 1,000 times a Sunday. We looked at the N2. We looked at the money supply expansion. We looked at the debts. We looked at the deficits, and that did not cause inflation. It was the freaking oil stuff, man. It was the oil stuff. Then wage and price control is freaking Nixon. But even that, I think that was in 1972. I think they got rid of wage and price controls in 1974, something like that. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But even that, there was a direct correlation to. I mean, literally, when they imported wage and price controls, inflation actually went down. I mean, it worked in terms of inflationary phenomenon. He not imported. Whatever it is. It mandated wage and price controls, which is freaking so stupid, but literally it worked. I mean, they should never do that again. It's horrible economics. The next year, there were less inflation. That is just a fact. So it worked for the short term. As always, government's largesse will work for the short term. In the long run, it's just idiotic, most idiotic thing in the world. But he did it and it worked. So he's like, hey, look at me. But then they got rid of it a couple years later. So, and then the oil embargo, and then and just the regulation on it's just they started doing all kinds of stuff. And then what happened was all of a sudden Carter started deregulating. Then Reagan came in and started deregulating. And oh my goodness, we started having, oh, by the way, what else did Nixon do? Oh yeah, he partnered with China. So Nixon gets us off the gold standard. He puts us on wage and price controls. He partners with China. That's 3 strikes and you're out, Dickie. Get the hell out of here, freaking Keynesian. You suck. Carter did the exact opposite. He started deregulating industry and stuff like that. And what did that do? Oh, yeah, there's a quick burst of activity, which is inflationary. But guess what happens then? Then it starts becoming deflationary as markets start working their magic. It's great. And then, of course, Reagan did that with energy, and then all bets are off. And then George Mitchell figured out fracking, hydraulic fracking, and we're freaking sitting on just this massive plethora of natural gas and oil reserves. We were supposed to be peak oil many moons ago. All right, so anyway, let's try this other thing. I want to go to this. Instead of using the S&P 500, we're just going to zero this out real quick. We're not going to put any money in there. Let's see if this works. We're going to do this. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 5% a year. We're going to put it all in Treasury bills. Right? Now, I will, on a side note, I will say Japan learned from the Great Depression as well, but they still had a massive amounts of deflation. So, it wasn't anywhere near like our Great Depression, but Japan, they saw what America did during the Great Depression, the contraction of monetary supply, and yet they could not, they still really can't get their inflation spiking. They want inflation because they've had massive deflation for basically 30 years. Not anywhere near what we had in the 30s, but still they tried. They said, we're going to print, we're going to spend, we're going to do all this. The Keynesian economics, it didn't work. Very interesting. And this is why, again, you can freaking lower the interest rates all you want. It doesn't mean crap if people aren't going to borrow money. You can increase the M2's money supply. It doesn't mean crap if people hoard. That's why Bitcoin will never be a currency. Bitcoin's such a joke, dude. Look, if you invest in Bitcoin and get rich, I don't care. The idea is going to be a competitor to the United States government. It's just so silly on its head. The idea is a store of value. My man Tom actually today, he's like comparing Bitcoin to gold. I said, really? You're really going to compare Bitcoin to gold? It's silly. But anyway, where I'm going with this is, at the end of the day, Japan could not stimulate the economy because people said, we are paying off debts. Any money you give to us is going to be used to pay down debts. And as such, it wasn't being used to consume, personal consumption expenditures. So Japan said, we're not doing that. We're paying down debts. And that's why there's no inflation at all. I mean, very little, and a little bit of deflation. But it wasn't a mass deflation like we had in the 30s. It just wasn't. And as such, I could see that happening again in the United States, that people say, I'm not going through, I'm done consuming. I'm not done spending and borrowing and spending. I'm not doing it anymore. So if the government gives me money, I'm going to freaking hoard it. I'm going to pay off debts. I'm going to put it I'm going to hoard it. Essentially, I'm not going to put it out, increasing the velocity of money. You can increase the M2 money supply all you want, but there's no transactions happening. No currency, the trading activity, it doesn't do anything. A little bit, but not much. And that's what happened in Japan. The velocity of money fell. And our velocity of money in the United States is falling like a brick in water too. People are transacting less and less and less, which is why there hasn't been much inflation, even though the money supply has increased. It's crazy, actually. It's very interesting. The economists weren't prepared for that, and they still aren't. They still think mass increases in M2 will inherently lead to mass inflation, and yet it hasn't. It just has not. Oh, but 2022, there's many reasons for that, more so than just M2 increase in monetary supply. Because then you have to say, too, why is there no deflation in 2024 when the monetary supply in 2023 is retracted? What are you going to say? It's going to happen in 2026? I mean, no one knows nothing's where I'm going with this. But I'm just saying there was a case of deflationary, kind of deflationary in Japan from the 1990s to basically all the way up to 2012. Nothing like the Great Depression. So we have this significant inflation in the United States in 1966 and 1982, significant deflation in 1929 to 1937. I don't think either of those are going to be replicated again. I think it's going to be like what happened in 2000 and 2009, the worst stock markets we have ever had, but because of low inflation, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was bad if everything was in stocks, but the low inflation really, you survived much, much better than any of those other 2 decades. All right, so let's check this out. I'm going to bring up 10-year Treasury. And we're going to go to, I got $100,000 there. Not 10-year Treasury, 1-year Treasuries. So everyone says bonds got hammered during inflation. Bonds get decimated by inflation. Did they now? Because here we had all of our money from 1966 to 1982, 5% a year adjusted for inflation, and we didn't run out of money until 1986. 21 years with nothing but bonds, and not even just bonds, short-term bonds. Look at that. Beat inflation, beat inflation, beat inflation, beat inflation, beat inflation, tied inflation, beat inflation, beat inflation, loss of inflation, loss of inflation, loss of inflation, loss of inflation. Let's see, loss of inflation, beat inflation, beat inflation, beat inflation, beat inflation, beat inflation. Beat inflation. So even if everything was in short-term bonds, our money lasts at 5% till 1921, till 1986, 21 years. If we did 4%, that's adjusted for inflation. It lasts for 28 years. Everything in bonds. Crazy. Let's put it all in stocks. S&P 500. Let's see what happened there. 4% lasted 32 years. 5% lasted 19 years. So if you had everything in stocks versus everything in bonds at 5%, the bonds did better than stocks, even though stocks supposedly are the hedge against inflation and bonds aren't. I just proved it right there. Stocks lasted 3 years less than bonds did for 5% a year. 4% a year, stocks did better. Just fact by 3 or 4 years. So then I want to say, what if we did, instead of the S&P 500, or instead of the 1-year treasuries, let's find this Putnam bond fund. Let's find this, because this is the oldest bond fund we can find that's that we have numbers on. If I can find it. For Putnam. What happened to it, man? It was on here. Did I screwed up? Okay. International. I don't know what happened to it. It was there earlier today. Bloomberg. I gotta put it down here. Hold on a second. I don't know what happened to it. The Putnam Fund was on there before, but I'm not sure why it's not on there now. We even have some other funds that aren't here anymore. He must be updated or something like that. All right. So he must be updating or something, because he had some other funds in here that for some reason aren't here. Why are they not there? They were up there earlier today. So well, let's do Wellington then. So here we'll do, we got Wellington right there. Excuse me. Right there. So Wellington, let's see, hold on a second. $100,000, 5 years, blank. Here, okay. It's not working there. There we go. That looks good. Wellington. He must be updating the numbers on the mutual funds. Yeah, all right. So he must be updating the numbers on the mutual funds, because I don't see anything for Wellington here or the other funds I was looking at earlier. So treasuries work. Let's see the Wellington. All right. Yeah, so he's doing something with the funds. So the mutual funds are being updated from what I could tell. But anyway, so going back to, we had the let's see if we got, I don't think the K goes back that long. Let's see the Japanese. So here's okay. So you get, I mean, so much stuff. Here's a Japanese 10-year bond. Here's the Nikkei. I don't think the Nikkei goes back to 1966. I'm not sure. The Nikkei goes, yeah, I guess it does. 1966. Yeah, right on. Sweet. Anyways, it's just a million things you can do in this, which makes it so fun, man. Let's do 1990. Let's do 1999. And we're going to go all the way to the end of, we don't have 2023 yet. We're waiting on the final numbers to come. So what we're going to do here in 1999, we're going to do Treasury bills and S&P 500. All right, there we go. And 5% a year adjusted for inflation. We're going to have 4 years here. We're going to start here with 20,000 schmackaroonies. Oops, right there. And the S&P 500, 80,000. There we go. All right, so by the time in 1999, I guess I'm going to start 2000. Right there. All right, so we're going to start 2000. We ran out of money in 2021. All right, 20 years, excuse me, 2020. By starting with S&P 500, these worst years, 9%, 12%, 22%. Because the market was, we lost from $80,000 to $50,000 in the S&P 500. And that, so we did run out of money. Use that 5% inflation adjustment rule. You can see we ran out of money right there in 2020. That's not good. We don't want to run out of money. But if we did 4%, we still got money left. If we did 4% by 20, we still got $55,000 left by 2022. Of course, 2022 had a good year. So 2023 did. So 4% was fine. How about 4,500? Same thing. 4,500, we're fine. So that's pretty good right there. Now, what if we rebalanced and we do 5,000? Yeah, we ran out of money year 17 if we rebalance. So anyway, so another thing that jumps out at me, what if we did $8,000, not adjusted for inflation, fixed, and $8,000 if we did it, we ran out of money in year 13. So basically where I'm going with this is we have three negative things to contend with. We got the Great Depression, which I don't think will ever happen again. We got 66 through 1982, which I could see happening again. Then we got 2000 through 2009, which was pretty significant. Again, 2008 was the worst bear market we've ever had when you factor inflation. So 2000 start off, but I'm going to show you one other thing. I don't know if it's going to let me do it. If it doesn't let me do Wellington, let me just show it one other thing. Hold on a sec. Oops, I don't want that. I want this right here. It's doing something with Wellington. Damn, with the mutual funds. All right. So sometimes you got to come back. Where I was going with that is if you didn't have the, oops. Yeah, it didn't work. Damn. Let's get no, it's not working. Anyway, be that as it may. So where I'm going with that is Wellington actually did better than the S&P 500 simply because it didn't have a lot of growth stocks. They had value stocks in there. So Wellington survived just fine. Isn't that interesting? So interesting. So we have these three instances, 1930, 1929 to 1937, 1966 and 1982, and 2000 and 2009. And all three were different. And so what's going to be the next one that comes down the pike? I don't know. But we know for a fact that most people don't adjust their expenditures with inflation, first and foremost. We know for a fact you basically got a 10-year time frame to retire to have fun. We know that for a fact. And we know for a fact, most likely, you aren't going to be in a 1929, a 1966, or a 2000. You could, but you most likely won't be. All right, so that's all I got on that. Let's see what I'm sorry, I'm tired, guys. You can't take with you. So, and that's any feedback from someone who accidentally deposits lump sum Any feedback from someone who accidentally deposited lump sum pension funds into Roth? Yeah, 100%. Look at Tom. After 21 years, one ran out of money, but you still have Social Security. 100%. And you're 21 years in retirement. You're like 80, mid-80s. Yeah, you can. What's the rules on recharacterization? I think you can still recharacterize it in the first year, I think, Darren. You have to double check, but look up Roth recharacterizations. You used to be able to do that. I think I rid of it in the Trump tax bill, but I think you can still recharacterize it if you made the deposit into the Roth in the calendar year. I think you can still recharacterize it back to your IRA. On top of that, if it's been 60 days, you can take the money out and put it right back in as long as it's been within the 60 days. So just look at Roth recharacterizations. All right, you can't take, 100%. Look at this guy. And this guy's a Cav, a 19 Delta. 19 Delta. I call him 19 Smelta. I worked in Japan for a year, and it was an interesting experience to say the least. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I bet. My daughter was supposed to get. You'll never be accepted, even if you speak fluent Japanese and know the culture. It's a xenophobic culture and do not like outsiders. We need to be more like that, okay? Okay? Only people like me should be here. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine having Mexican food in Japan? How nasty that would be because there's no Mexicans. Also knows when I went to San Diego, I got the best breakfast burrito I've ever had in my life for like $5. It was fantastic. Dude, I think the melting pot gets overplayed by bad people with bad intentions. But man, can you imagine just like I don't know, man. It's cool having people with different like I just talk to people all the time. Like I was talking to this guy the other day from India. You know, even though he's from India, you think he'd speak English. When he came here, he couldn't hardly speak anything. I don't know why. I guess he didn't learn it much in India. You know, even though Indian was colonized by the Brits, you think he'd learn it, but he didn't. So he came here with like $20. He's going to graduate school, and he got off the bus or something like that to go. You know, he's going to meet up with his. It was like they have a little bit of an Indian clan that kind of takes care of new arrivals, and he was going to go meet up with these people. And like the porter on the bus or the train said, "Hey, you want me to grab your bag for you?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." So the porter said, "All right, hey, give me a tip." And he said, "Here's $20," not thinking that the porter was going to take the whole thing. It's only $20 he had. So he says, "Here's 20." I mean, he's like he doesn't know how to speak it, so he said $20. The porter just walked away with it. He's like, and that's all the money he had. It's like, and this guy's just kicking ass and taking names. It's crazy. It takes a couple years to get citizenship in Japan, but they speak Japanese. Yeah, we should make people speak English here. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, that's xenophobic. No, it's not xenophobic. We need one language to communicate. Shocking. With five brokerage CDs and bank accounts, I believe the growth of tech boom is done for a long while. We'll see, man. I don't know. Hey, you did miss all the fun pulverize. We're just making fun of you the whole time. America's still 100%, dude. There's no other place I'd rather be. Man. America still crushes. We have, Japan's got massive depopulation. So is in China. Huge depopulation. So is it Korea. So is it Europe. I mean, Europe and Asia, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Koreans, those places are just doomed. Man. There's no other way around that. Just doomed. In America, still, we got so many people that are crushing in the United States. That's what I think. All these people like say politics, man. Like I don't like the politics and all that stuff, but my goodness, there's so many people kicking ass and taking names, dude. It's crazy. We still got the fundamental live free or die in the United States. It's wonderful to behold, and that's from all cultures. As long as they can speak the damn language. I don't get why it's so controversial to say before you vote, you got to show an ID. If you want to be a citizen, you got to learn the language. Why is that so controversial? Because they never did that before. I don't care what they did before. I don't care. This is what we're doing now. All right. I think consumers always keep the economy up. They will still buy. Oh, maybe, man. Maybe. Even if they get into unstable, crippling debt. I don't know about that. That's what they thought about Japan. Didn't happen in Japan. Truth be told, most chicks I dated were spendthrifts, would have put me in the poorhouse, marrying the right spouse. Yeah, 100%, man. Your best bit for success in high inflation, allow the withdrawal to increase less than inflation. High inflation is most like failure in the 4% rule. All right, I think I get out of here. I'm getting tired, man. Look at Ted. Even though Ted's living in Maine, he's getting it. Is Social Security taxed by the feds if your only income? Nope, it's not. It's not. Oh, dude, totally. Like Mexicans, like I've said a million times on this show, man, you work at USA in South Texas and you see all these Mexican American ladies, and you're just like, dude, oh my goodness. You're like, phew. I don't know what's worse, the little bit we talk about finances or Josh's hair dye. No, so you can have literally $100,000 Social Security is not taxable at all if that's your only income. Harry spent a year in whatever that place is back in the 80s. I don't even know how Iowa Cooney. Oh man, look, man. Tom says no more Roth recharacterizations even in the year. Oh, dude, that sucks. Maine is like Japan. If you're not born here, you're from away. I know, 100%, man. And funny, I could go back to Maine I was born and raised there. They're like, oh, you're from away. I said, yeah, get the hell out of here. I'm actually on a couple main Facebook pages, and I just hate the griping. It's too expensive to live in Maine. I'm like, it's weird how it's so expensive to live in Maine. There's no tradespeople. They don't have any. So if you're a builder, you'll have work just like that. If you're an electrician, a carpenter, a roofer, a plumber, you'll have more work than you can do. They're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring nurses in-house. You know what I'm saying? To Maine Medical Center and other places. They're paying these nurses hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I posted somebody said, it's weird how Maine's so expensive and yet there's no tradespeople and they're paying nurses from out of state. Maybe some people chose the wrong profession. And somebody said, why do you hate Maine so much? I said, I actually don't hate Maine. I love Maine. I'd love to move back if better half would let me, and she probably won't, but I don't. I said, that's the issue. All these people griping about Maine as if Maine owes these people something. And some other lady said, the government needs to do something about it. I said, what would you have the government do? And she never answers that. Never answer. I said, I just want to hear, what is your answer? Give me an answer. What would you have the government do? You know what I'm saying? She goes, well, the price of houses are too expensive. What would you have them do? Well, still, it's hard. I said, I know. But you said the government should do something. What price controls? Yeah, good luck with that. That really worked well in New York City, freaking idiots. I hate the gripe. I hate it because you don't have to be a freaking sociologist at the University of Maine. You can go and become an electrician. It's crazy. Even if you're 45 years old, you could go work for the post office. You could go become a nurse. And some nurses said, well, I'm an RN. They don't pay us crap. I said, first of all, I bet they do. Second of all, you ever thought of job hopping? The best way to increase your income is to change work. I guarantee that your new work say, we'll pay you $20,000 more, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't job hop because I'm just okay. Well, then you're stuck. There are some people who can't afford it. There are some people. I have a sneaky suspicion, though, you got a brand new cell phone and you got sleeve tattoos and you're probably drinking alcohol. I got sneaky suspicion our priorities are wrong. Yeah, you must be rich. And then one lady said, you should stay in Georgia. You don't know anything about Maine. I said, I don't know anything about where I was born and raised, and I hate it. It's like, it's funny, man. So I got about more than half the people liking my comment. I've got a huge amount of people, give me thumbs up, but a bunch of people like, yeah. And one guy said, what did he say? He is a boiler tech, and he's only making $17 an hour. I said, I guess it's too expensive to live in Maine then. Anyway, some other guy piped in and said, what kind of boiler tech are you? What kind of license you have? This, that, the other. I don't know the first thing about being a boiler tech. Oh, it turns out he's no longer the low-end boiler tech at $17 an hour. That's what he started with. Now he's a higher-end boiler tech making more than that. I said, aha. So you, just like everybody else, had to start on the low end of the spectrum, living in a lower-end house, living in a lower-end neighborhood, and then you work your way up. But you're acting like you're a boiler tech, like 50 years in the business, making $17 an hour. You freaking fake mofo. It pissed me off. I said, oh, I got it. So just like everybody else who's starting out, we're not paid that much. You don't live in a nice, that's why we call them starter homes, by the way, or apartment buildings. Charlotte and I did the same. Everyone does the same thing. And then you slowly get experience. You get more money. You should probably job hop. If you're an RN, you're not paid enough, then go to another hospital, go to another organization. But I tell you, man, I said to the guy, I said, why you gotta like misrepresent, man? So just, why you say that? Why do you say you're only making $17 an hour as a boiler tech? And there's another class above that and above that. And I said, why do you do that? It's like people love to whine. It's the weirdest thing, man. It drives me crazy. Moon-based alpha here. Yeah, hospitals are paying travel nurses huge amount of money. Huge. My sister-in-law got an offer up there in Maine for like well over $100,000, dude. And one lady said, well, they don't pay health benefits. I said, if you're making well over $100,000, you can find your health benefits. I mean, come on. Yeah, 100%. And I get that. Everyone always thinks, right, and I get that. I hate it's like stolen valor stuff. I hate that crap. Just don't misrepresent. Don't put on there that you're only making $17 an hour as a boiler tech. He was like, I got a blue collar. Because what he said, he goes, well, I'm a boiler tech. So I said, maybe you got in the wrong trade. Maybe become a tradesman or a nurse, and you'll be making more money. You can afford it. The guy says, well, I'm a boiler tech, so sit down. That's what he told me. I said, well, I guess it's too expensive for you then. You better move, because he's still a Maine. So it's obviously not too expensive because he's still there. And then some other guy piped in, then he piped in, and I said, why do you do that? You're not a boiler tech making $17 an hour. Yep, right there. Maine, $130,000. That's what they offered my sister-in-law. $130,000 a year. But Josh, that's not fair. Everyone get a trophy. Reference boiler. Yeah, 100%. I hate it. I hate the whiners, man. Drives me up the wall. And people always say, look, man. Some guy will say it's so expensive, but they say, and I'm not saying it's not expensive. I'm just saying there's always been people on the lower rungs who have to start someplace and work their way higher. So it's like these people, they have so much entitlement. They think I should be that guy right there. I'll never forget when we lived in Dayton, Virginia. We lived in a 3-bed, 1-bath ranch, on a quarter of acre. We had like 5 people, 7 people, because Charlotte's sister was living with us. I guess we had 5. This was before the boys were born. You know what I'm saying? And I remember she woke up one day, Charlotte's sister, and there was leaking roof and all this stuff. And they built this new neighborhood up the street. There's nice houses, 2-story Cape Cods and stuff, nice front porches and all that. I said, man, I wish I had the money to live up there. I'll never forget that. But we weren't even just starting out. I mean, it's 30. I had Maddie, that's 30. So I was probably 36, 37. It wasn't like we just didn't have the money, man. We started late and we had to work our way up. And, but I'll never forget, I wasn't like jealous. I said, man, I'd like to live in those houses. It's nice. But I knew we couldn't afford it. You know what I'm saying? And I was already in my mid-30s. I had already been in the Army, already graduated college. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I still have finance. I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't making any money, but I wasn't making enough to afford those houses. But it's like just the way it is. You start low and you work your way up. Sometimes it takes longer and sometimes it doesn't. But if you're not happy with your lot in life in America, you can freaking change your lot in life. It's so, we had to move. We moved to Texas. We changed our lot in life to move to Texas because they said we had a better opportunity. We were like immigrants. And it worked out. Didn't mean it was guaranteed, but it worked out. Doesn't mean it always will work out. But man, I just hate the whining. And people want to whine like the politics. Yeah, but it's really bad out there because they're right wingers. I get it. We don't like Biden, but they're like, it's really bad out there. It's like, is it? I know it's not great. I get it. But man, don't make politics your God, for heaven's sake. Like, it's real bad out there. When you see where's all the skinny people running around here? Where's all the bread lines? It's just not there, man. It's just not there. That doesn't mean people are living large, but the last I saw is everyone's got a vehicle. Everyone's got air conditioning. Everyone's got 3 hots and a cot. Everyone's got cable TV. Everything got this thing right here. I want to trade this for anything in the world, man. Freaking love America. Yeah, right here. Here's my man right here. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll accept positions as CEO. Right here, family man. My brother-in-law just got an auto mechanic making $150 a year, but he's just a wrench monkey right here. Look at my man John. 6 months ago, making $65 an hour working as a municipality's power plant superintendent. Started out as a meter reader at $475. I don't think it's just the kids nowadays, bro. I think it's my generation too. I think something happened, and even boomers, there'll be boomers grinding on. It's multi-generational, but I think it has to do with politics. If your guy is not in office, you're mad and you say it's real bad. If your guy is in office, you're happy. It's like, no, look how good it is. I think it literally I think politics is so inundated in our mindset. It's just bad. We shouldn't let politics determine your lot in life and how happy you are. You shouldn't do that. And America isn't dying. The dollar isn't dying. It's just the whole thing's so stupid. Again, it doesn't mean it's perfect. I don't think God ever said we're perfect. I could have sworn there's only one perfect. And I don't think it's you or I. All right, I get out of here. God bless, man. It's been good. And the funny thing is, brother, as you look back on those times with nothing but fond memories. I sit there and I look at my wife all the time, but I always think like what we went through. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't understand these people get divorced at 65 or whatever. It's sad. I mean, whatever. I just said, man, of all the crap you and your wife went through, why would you leave her now? Or she leave you, whatever it is. Of all the crap Charlotte and I went through, you know what I'm saying, with sharing a burrito at Blue Burrito in Phoenix, Arizona, because we could only afford one, you know what I'm saying, and drinking water. I mean, I know that seems small, but for us, that's significant. You know what I'm saying? We only could eat out once a week, and we went to the Blue Burrito. We cut it in half, and she had half, I had half, and they had free salsa, and you could have water. And I think there's even free unsweet tea that she could have. And that was a big deal for us. You know, Charlotte was working part time at Pier One. I was working, what the hell? I can't remember, Schwab or something like that. Forgot what I was doing. And then other times I was working at R.R. Donnelly at night, binding books while I was a branch manager at a bank. I mean, just like these experiences, just, man, I'm so happy to have endured those because I can look back and so much fondness now and say, I'm glad I went through that. I feel bad for spoiled people who don't go through that. It's like, man, you know, you'll never know what it's like you don't. And as such, I don't know. For me, I will always look at my wife with nothing but appreciation that she sat there with me through that crappy time. I just will never be grateful enough. All right, so I can get out of here, guys. Thanks again for being here, and God bless. And check out my interview on Monday. It won't be live, but I'll post it probably Tuesday. All right, God bless. We'll see you.